Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today I'm actually going to start out with my bag of words to see what I'm inspired to share. All right, so let's see. All right. Ooh, family. Interesting. Family. You know, family. What came to mind is how family is a beautiful thing, but family is also where we get challenged, right? Family is this group of people that we're close with, usually in proximity, and we have a lot of history with. And, there's good moments and not such good moments. And because of the closeness of it or the meaning of it for us, we tend to have a lot of history and a lot of dynamics with this group of people. And these dynamics stem from all of the experiences that we've had and what we've thought during those experiences. And then they start to get themselves played out. And a lot of times, these relationships can go either way. Sometimes, we love that we have them, and sometimes we don't, which reminds me of a sign that my friend had in her house. I'm trying to remember what it says, but it was something like about choosing, like you don't get to choose your family, but you get to choose your friends, or something like that. Anyway, the thing about it was, it's kind of displaying some joy for having, I don't think I remember it correctly, but anyway, the point of the sign and the message was about, being grateful for having friends because, things were rough with her family. But the reality is that, we can have rough relationships with family or friends. It doesn't really matter, and sometimes, it spills over. It can go, when I say it doesn't really matter, it means that it can go either way. A lot of times we're thinking that it's the group of people, like it's family or it's friends because of how they are. But the reality is that we play a role in these dynamics as well, meaning that, yes, they may be doing something that hurts us, upsets us, offends us, and so forth, but we play a role. In other words, we have a belief system and we hold on to our own experiences, and then we transfer these into our relationships. In other words, we will say, I'm angry because she always said stuff and it makes me feel like I'm not good enough, right? And, she can't see my good, for example, right? If it's an interaction with, right, a female. And then you think, right, you have these thoughts about this, these negative feelings and these thoughts about this relationship, and we get caught up in what they're doing, and we forget, right, to pause and look at, why is this bothering me so much? Why is this such an issue for me, right? Why does it hurt me when she or they say, right, something? That's the stuff we want to look at, because we are being triggered and we want to understand that better, right? We want to understand ourselves so that we can start turning the tide. But when I mean understand ourselves, right, I'm not just talking about like, okay, yes, now I have some self-awareness and I know it's because when I was little this happened to me, and well, yeah, that's great, and that's a stepping stone. But now I want to take it a step further, right, and say, okay, now that I'm aware that this happened and that this hurt me, now what can I do to take care of that part of myself that's hurt, right? What can I say to that part of myself that's feeling frustrated, and what does that part of myself need, right? So we could start working on meeting that need. And then, of course, right, understanding what it is so that we can give it and support ourselves so that we don't have to keep in that space and holding on to the stuff that's hurting us and reliving it every time somebody says something that triggers us, and then going into this whole dynamic that doesn't feel good. And then the stories that we tell ourselves about the situation. because the stories sometimes leave us feeling really disempowered. and as if we don't have a say or things are happening without our consent. But the reality is, right, that we can meet our needs, we can understand what's going on, we can meet our needs, and we also want to talk to ourselves in a way that's uplifting. Because when we feel good inside, right, and we make a choice that we want to heal, right, or work through something and bring ourselves back up, right, emotionally, then guess what? We're going to show up more peaceful, more loving, and then we're going to have more of that in our relationships. In other words, we're going to be taking responsibility for what we're feeling, as opposed to focusing on what she said, he said, they said, whatever. It's like, instead of really just fixating on that, or resenting our family for what they weren't able to give us, or what they weren't able to do, or how they aren't able to show up, or how they're always so toxic and how they're always fighting, then instead of focusing on what they're doing wrong and what they've gotten wrong and what they haven't done right, we're taking responsibility for how we feel, and we're doing it by exploring what's going on with us and taking the time to meet our own needs and letting them off the hook, because we're not expecting them to do something for us. We're doing it for ourselves. And then when we're feeling lighter inside, we're able to show up more loving and more caring and more compassionate too, because we're not so upset with them. We understand, right, what's happening within us when they act that way, and we no longer have the need for them to be a certain way, so we can be more loving and more compassionate towards them. And then all of a sudden it's almost like magic, but it's not really magic. It's almost like the relationship is better. We don't fight as much. Well, that's because, right, we don't have the same needs or the same frustration anymore. And that's how we improve those relationships with our family or with anybody outside of our family. But it starts with us and taking responsibility. But before I go any further, I did shuffle this deck, the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I'm going to pick, the card on top, and let's see what it says to see what else I can add to this message. So it says, manifest your true intentions. Regardless of what regardless of what language you speak, your intent will manifest through the word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the word. So now this is interesting, right? Because we can take this so many different ways. But I love that it says, and applying it to the family situation, right? Regardless of what language you speak, your intent will manifest through the word that you're saying to yourself, the word that you're sharing with other people. Words, right, have an effect. If we're telling ourselves they're always doing this, and complaining in our minds about what they're doing, what they said, and ruminating in that pain that we're feeling, then we get stuck. And when we shift from that, right, we free ourselves from that. We don't get trapped in it or stay stuck in it, because we're freeing ourselves from it. And the other thing it says, and then it says, okay, what you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will be manifested through the word. So what you really are. So I'm going to focus in on that, what you really are. We see ourselves as people with these dynamics, these situations, in these relationships and so forth. But what if, right, we took a step back and looked at ourselves, right, as something more than just human beings, right, as something more expansive, right? Like thinking of ourselves as having, a divine inheritance, and we're here on a divine journey, right? And through this journey, we're here to learn. And there are going to be, highs and lows, but all of them are teaching us. And all of them are designed to help us, right, to strengthen ourselves and to continue growing. And when I'm talking about strengthening ourselves, not just being able to self-regulate or to let people off the hook, but to live a life that's more centered with our soul than with our fears, right? Or our learned stories about who we are and what we're capable of, and everything else that gets entangled in all of that. Seeing ourselves past that, right? So who we are at our core and at our essence. And if we are that, then we can see that others are as well. In other words, if I have divine inheritance, then so do you. And if I, right, am spiritually guided, then someone else can be. In other words, it's not just, something that is for us, it's for everybody else. So what does that mean, right? That if I'm spiritually supported and so are they, then instead of, right, me thinking, oh my goodness, they're doomed, no, they will find their way, right? Or they'll always be this way. No, they have the ability to change, and it is their choice, right? My choice is to support myself. My choice is to grow. In other words, we're not thinking of the other person as doom and gloom, or as we have to fix them in some way. Instead, right, we need to take responsibility for ourselves and also see that all the good that's possible for us is possible for them, right? And as we see that, divine light in us, we see it in other people. And so that also helps us shift from they're like this and they're like that and they're always going to be like this, right? Because those kinds of words are going to make us feel really pessimistic and hopeless. And we don't really know what's possible for anybody. It's really up to them, just like it's up to us what's possible for us. So we want to remember, right, to keep that hope and trust and faith for ourselves and to keep it for others. And not necessarily box anybody into any labels any more than we want to box ourselves into any words or labels. Because we are constantly evolving and so is everyone else. And we want to remember that when we are telling ourselves they're always going to be like this, they've always done this to me, they're so bad and they are ruining my life or they are causing me so much pain. The reality is that yes, what they're doing isn't feeling good to us, but it is our responsibility to figure out what's going on with that, why are we feeling this way, not so much why they're doing that, but why are we feeling this way. And then, right, reminding ourselves that if we, right, have good in us, then anybody else can have it as well. And that if we take out the time to grow and learn, that maybe that is something they may want to do as well. We don't know. But one thing that we do know, right, is that all things are possible. And I always like to say, with God, all things are possible. So I'm going to end with that. I hope that this video helps you in some way. If it did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I upload further videos. And if you want to find out more about the work that I'm doing, you can check out my website. All the description is down below. All right. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Bye for now.